Ryan here, coming at you with the next episode of my Stanley Kubrick director series. Now, we've already talked about his short documentaries, we've talked about Path to Glory, we've talked about The Killing, and today we are talking about 1960s Spartacus. And I don't own the Blu-ray of this yet because I'm still holding on to my Criterion of this. If you haven't seen this movie, it is the 1960 basically Roman era epic, Roman Empire epic. Basically it's about a slave turned gladiator. He's a slave and he ends up, rebelling and leading a huge uprising against the Roman Empire. And everybody knows the story of Spartacus. And so, Kirk Douglas is in this film. We have a bunch of people in this movie. Let me just see if I can find a quick cast. We have Kirk Douglas, Laurence Olivier, Gene Simmons, Charles Laughton, Peter Ustinov, John Gavin, Tony Curtis, John Dahl. We have a bunch of other people, and so it's directed and produced. It's directed by Stanley Kubrick, produced by Edward Lewis, and executive produced by Kirk Douglas. And it is written by Dalton Trumbo, and he was somebody who was actually blacklisted, and they weren't going to actually have his name in the credits of this film. He wasn't going to get credit for it, and it's actually kind of a controversy because Kubrick did not have complete creative control of the film, and so that led him to disown it later in his career. He didn't particularly talk about it. He kept it out of his canon. And a lot of it is because he didn't have complete control. He was asked to come on board after Anthony Mann, the filmmaker, left the project. And some of the scenes that Anthony Mann actually filmed is still in the film. Mainly the opening scene and some of the, the early slave scenes. And so some of it's in there. So he didn't conceive of this film, I guess you could say. And so people were kind of annoyed at his demand for takes and how to work the camera, and they were like, who's this young guy, trying to boss everybody around. So the making of it's slightly controversial. In regards to the screenwriter, he wasn't going to get credited, and they were going to credit somebody else, and Kubrick was like, well, I'll just get credit for it. And Kirk Douglas and the producer were kind of like disgusted by that. They were just really thrown off by that, and Kirk Douglas made sure that didn't happen. And so there was always a conflict between Kirk Douglas and Kubrick during the making of this film and with the producers of the film. And that's why Kubrick later disowned the film, basically, and said he was never going to work on a film where he didn't have 100% creative control. Now, you might look at it and say that's stupid, egotistical, and just messed up that he would do that. But you got to look at where Stanley Kubrick's coming from and what he means by the passion that he has for his work. There's some people that say he was just a big egomaniac, and then there's other people that say he was one of the kindest human beings in the world. Me being a huge Kubrick fan, I'd go with the latter latter description of him. Just because somebody has an ego when it comes to their work doesn't necessarily mean they're a poor individual. And so, I highly recommend this film. It's about 200 minutes long. Get a Blu-ray of it. That's really nice. I'm going to stick with my Criterion. I love it. I love the cover. And so, so this video is kind of short. I'm definitely going to be getting more in depth about the rest of his films, since those are the films that I've done so much research on and so much looking at and just savoring, because, his films are awesome. And so for a while I actually didn't like Spartacus as much because I never was really into it because it didn't look or feel like an actual Kubrick film. But so from the next ones on, I am on fire for these films. We're talking about Lolita next. We're talking about Dr. Strangelove after that, 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut. In the last episode, I'm going to talk about a documentary that was made about him too. That was very, very well done, and it's a great film. So until next time, I will see you guys in the next video.